That's my dog.
That's my twin.
That's my girl.
That's my cuz.
That's my friend.
That's my homie.
That's my round.
That's my partner, damn.
They say we about to lose.
I say that we gon' win.
Hey!
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 Hey! I don't talk about a lot of private stuff on my channel, mostly because I'm too busy talking about ways we can make them pay. But I did publish one little gem of an essay as an anniversary present to my wife, Melanie Bennett. It was called So I Married Snow White. If there's one character in all of literature that reminds me of Melanie Bennett, it's Snow White. She works with children, animals adore her, she is truly a ray of sunshine. You'll have to read the essay to learn about Snow White's dark side. Wiggles eyebrows suggestively. So I booked Snow White her own self for my very own first podcast interview, Mrs. Melanie Bennett. She made it all the way down to Let's Make Them Pay Studios for a proper powwow. So without further ado, here's my conversation with my beautiful bride. Let's make them pay.
Oh my God!
Working out a few bugs.
Shut the fuck up.
All right. All right, one more time off the top. Welcome to the Let's Make Them Pay podcast. My name is Scott Bennett. I am your host. And today we have a very special guest, the apple of my eye, the peanut butter to my jelly, my beautiful blushing bride, Melanie Bennett. Thank you for making it down today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Long commute?
So happy to join your podcast.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you. If I was going to have anybody, I would think my twin.
Well, here I am.
Yeah. So is there anything, okay, we're just starting off. Is there anything you would like the public to know about you?
I think something first and foremost is that I'm a mother. I am a wife. I am an entrepreneur 2 times over. I am an artist. And I'm an animal lover and nature lover.
Yeah, and people might not know this, but you were actually the bigger content creator of the two of us when we first met. Isn't that right?
That is true. That is true. I generally circled around the fandom drain.
Which fandom was that?
It was the Game of Thrones fandom.
You were a big wheel.
I was a minor cog in the machine. That's how I would put it.
Well, I used to love when we were first dating. I used to love tuning into your streams or catching those podcast episodes where you were talking and just watching you talk. I loved it.
Well, I'm glad you. Hopefully, you absorbed some interesting minutia about the Game of Thrones.
I did. I got a lot of
A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, ASWAF we like to call it. Yeah, that was great. And you also did some influencing of your own for a while. I did. Secretly soft sniffs.
Yep, perfume is one of my
passions
and interests, and I think the sense of smell is something that people kind of take for granted and don't think about a lot, and it's fun to slow down and refine your ability to describe what you smell.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that, and I miss that channel a lot. You actually went cold turkey on TikTok. Can you tell us about that?
I sure did. After the first TikTok ban, there were some rumors, there was some, a little bit of legislation, but when I heard that the TikTok servers were being changed over to Oracle, I was like, I'm out of here. There is no way I'm staying. Whether it makes a difference or not, I feel like it just makes a statement.
Yeah. So what did you notice any changes from cutting social media out of your life for however long that was?
I sure did. I felt that it was refreshing in a way that caused me to get out of my phone and get back into real life. And it certainly helped sustain and enrich my interpersonal relationships with you, the children, and it made me think about community and helped me strengthen my feelers out there in the community.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's wonderful. I'm curious now. We were talking before we started recording. We were talking about your radicalization journey, and you feel that your first marriage was a big step in that journey. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
For sure. Prior to the dissolution of my marriage, I remember during the lead up to the 2016 election, both me and my ex were what I thought diehard Bernie supporters. I loved Bernie's messages about, let's just say, socialism. I remember very clearly the day of the election when Trump's win was announced. Ugh, it feels so gross to even say his name. Like, the day that Trump's win was announced, I cried on the floor, and my ex was like, "What's your problem?" And I was like, "I can't believe this happened. How could the country make such a stupid choice?" And he said, "You shouldn't feel that way. He's your president. He's your president now. You need to get behind him." And I was like, never, never. And I just, it really opened my eyes to how his job in corporate America changed him as a person and really made him buy into the whole capitalism thing, and how it just really conflicted with my personal belief that there's a lot more to life than owning things and displaying material wealth. And that was a big schism that happened between us.
Right. And you had said that he had been for Bernie before Trump was elected, right?
Yeah, I think you would have, people would have said that he was a Bernie bro. Bernie all the way, and it ended up being...
And then the instant the election was over.
Yes, he just wanted to be on the side of the winner. And, I understand that a lot of people want to be on the side of the winner, but when it compromises your own personal morals, I think you have a responsibility to look inside and realize that, this person's platform doesn't match up with what I believe inside.
Yeah.
And I don't know, look inside yourself, and okay.
Right.
That's
So
all I can.
I think you had said that you were further radicalized after you met me.
For sure. Talking with you and reading what you've written has definitely helped me organize my thoughts about leftism. Leftism? Is that a thing?
Sure.
Okay. Leftist beliefs or leftist morals and values. It definitely informed me from a historical perspective about the left and both its shortcomings and its appeal. I'm firmly a believer in community and help. I firmly believe that when we help our community, we help ourselves. And when we have communities that support one another, it lifts everybody up and helps everybody become who they're meant to be and express themselves freely, whether it's through business, art, whatever. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, and leftist beliefs or, leftist practices, I think, just raise that up.
Yeah.
In each person.
Well said. Well said. Now this is amusing. People will like this. What do you always tell people about your vision for our retirement?
I always tell people that my vision for our retirement is joining a commune.
Yeah. Now, why do you say something like that?
I love the idea of a community supporting itself by supporting each other. Everybody does their part. They provide value by providing whatever value their strengths are.
Whatever they bring to the table.
Yeah, whatever they bring to the table. Over time, I've cultivated a bunch of different talents, and I think I bring a lot to the table, as I think you also bring a lot to the table.
Thank you.
I don't know, the idea of living perhaps a little bit closer to the earth is something that really appeals to me. And given the economic climate right now and how shaky and uncertain things are, I really think that it's the smart choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I certainly see the appeal. And I think, boy, looking at the current retirement system that we have, right? Or not even, but looking at what a profit center nursing homes have become. I have a friend at work whose mother went into a nursing home. She had a fall or something and was in the hospital, and then had to go to a extended care facility. And once you get in there, they were charging her $14,000 a month until her money was all gone.
It is a money extraction.
Like, it's just like, they just pull a lever and drain you of every penny you have until you go on Medicare, and then Medicare picks up the
for
everything from that
long
point.
we
But
still
right,
have
but
Medicare.
like, but I mean, it's so extractive.
It's very
and
extractive.
I think if there's a way that we could do it where, you know, you were actually surrounded by people in a little community who knew you and cared about you, you know, they wouldn't have to wheel you into a little care facility to just stare out a window for the end of your days.
For sure. It brings me to an interesting tangent about death and dying. And I think that in our culture in America, that's so obsessed with youth and beauty that very little respect is given to the process of death and dying.
Yeah.
And the elderly are just like children. You know, children and the elderly are our most vulnerable populations and are not treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve.
Yeah.
And even though you may be going into a care facility, I mean, you know, there's certainly really wonderful ones out there, but workers inside care facilities are historically underpaid and undervalued. Same thing with childcare workers. That's my field. And you're not going to get the same level and quality of care in a care facility, no matter how good it is. And, you know, no, not disparaging the people who work directly with the young and the elderly, but you're just not going to get the same kind of personalized, comforting care from a facility as you are from people who actually know you and care about you. You know, aging and dying at home is, I think, what all of us want in our heart. We don't want to die in a hospital. But here we are in this capitalist system that just extracts any wealth that you may have accumulated to, you know, you may have been very successful in life, and these systems are here to just extract that last bit of wealth that you were holding on to, hoping to pass on to the next generation, and yanking it out of your wallet.
Right.
With just like wild abandon.
Right. Well, just think about, like, you know, this is supposed to be this massive transfer of wealth from the boomers as they die off to their kids.
It's not going to happen.
But here comes the nursing home industry to set themselves as the middleman and make sure that they extract as much of that value as possible so that it doesn't pass on to the next generation.
Another thing that gets me really upset about that whole industry is how private equity has just like a hydra with 1,000 tentacles.
The enshittification of everything.
Just everything. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like to think of it as like a stick-up culture, where it's just like, you know, every place in our society. Let's talk about that.
Sure.
Let's talk about our experiences at the vet the last couple of years.
We have 2 wonderful cats. Oh, they're such good boys.
Shadowfax and Teller.
Shadowfax accidentally got his tail shut in a door.
Slammed in the door.
Ooh, it's so bad.
By one of our 4 children.
Yep. And we thought he was going to have a tail amputation. We brought him to an emergency vet, and they wanted to charge us like $3,000 to have his tail amputated.
Right.
Did they give him any pain meds? I think maybe like they
cleaned the wound and wrapped it up. And charged us a whole bunch of money for that.
Yeah, basic first aid care, and told us to go to when we were like, wow, $3,000, that's a lot of money.
And they're like, your vet might be able to cover it a little cheaper.
So the very next day, we brought him to our regular vet, and they quoted us $2,800.
Right, big savings.
We laughed and asked for a list of low-cost vet options. Ended up going to a vet, making an appointment at a vet that was over an hour away. Took a day off from work to go bring the cat to the vet, and it snowed, so we couldn't get there. And
so we waited another week.
Had to wait another week, and got there, and he needed that cat needed a rabies shot as well. So they gave him the rabies shot,
and then
forgot about me in the room. 45 minutes later, they sent me home saying, "Oh, you'll have to come back another day. We can't do the tail amputation the same day as
his tail
rabies shot."
Basically healed on its own.
Yeah,
it basically healed on its own.
Guy.
So the amputation wasn't necessary. We were lucky,
and he still has a long, beautiful, functioning tail.
Yeah, but I think an even more, even clearer illustration is Teller's most recent scare.
Yeah,
when we went to the vet, and the vet asked us. You know, we were like, geez, because we had this recent experience with Shadowfax. We're like, we can't afford to just like spend whatever on this.
We spoke about it ahead of time, and we said, what's the maximum amount of money that we would spend?
Right.
And we decided
the doctor asked us, we got Teller in there, and he's like, well, how much can you afford? And so you tried to lowball him at $800, right?
Yeah, we had agreed to $1,000, and then I said $800 is the max, and they ended up charging us like $782.
Yeah, okay, just in on it. What an amazing a la carte coincidence that.
So extractive.
So extractive. They just find out what you can afford, and they take all of it.
It makes me think about this new, I don't go into Walmart, so I can't see, I haven't seen it in person, but the
dynamic pricing, where they basically charge every person
something different based on their ability to pay.
This is what AI is for, folks, so they can figure out, they can create a profile for you and then charge you different amounts based on that profile. So that they extract the maximum amount from every person.
And beyond that, how terrifying is it that we have a digital footprint that we can't control,
right? That's
being surveilled. They know you're in Walmart looking at a box of Cocoa Puffs.
Right. Flock cameras probably followed your car all the way from your house to Walmart.
How invasive is that? And
this is supposed to be a free country, right? Like this is like surveillance state. Back during East Germany, when there was the Stasi, they would say, in America, they would talk about all this, this intrusive surveillance and no freedom whatsoever. But here we are in the freest place on earth, supposedly. And we're everything we do, every transaction, every step we take, every place we drive,
every website you look at,
carefully cataloged and logged for total information awareness. For the surveillance state, for our government, for the control grid.
Yep. Makes me a little nervous at time. I keep my search history pretty clean.
Yeah, you think about why. Okay, I saw a post by James Lee recently listing how many different of these facilities had been built already, and we already
AI data centers.
How many data centers had been built already? And the U.S. was like way up over 5,000, and second place was like 500 in China or UK or one of those. But like the different, so we're already like. Exponentially more data centers than anybody else. And they want to keep building even more, even bigger, like that one in Utah, bigger than Manhattan Island. Like, and so we need to ask ourselves, what is that for? Why are they doing it?
Exactly. Which brings me to one of my little bugaboos lately is the supposed ballroom. I listened to read some really wonderful investigative journalism about who's
the Dre dossier.
The Dre dossier.
Fantastic.
She's so good. That's what journalism should look like these days, in my opinion. And at some point we'll have to discuss the transition from mass media to individual reporters and what the ecosphere of journalism is going to look like in the next 5 years. I think is going to really change. But
okay, we'll come back to that.
Right. Oh, the ballroom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, listening to the Dre dossier. Look at exactly who is contributing to the building of the ballroom and links to Israeli military.
Have you heard what's happening this week? One of these bills they're trying to pass to actually unite the IDF and the American military in some way. Like, it sounds terrible.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't love the idea of the United States being a puppet state. I have nothing against Israeli individuals and the actual people that live there. There's certainly a resistance to the governance that's happening there. My problem is with the government.
Yeah.
And the level of
invasiveness.
Well, invasiveness and money exchange / money laundering that's happening. Also, the support of an apartheid state really is just sickening to me.
Absolutely.
We could go down the Gaza genocide route, saying that real quiet, so hopefully it doesn't trigger the algorithm. But I think we can very clearly see that Never Again has turned into every time which it makes me wonder how, just psychologically, something like what happened to that certain group of people in the how much do we want to
40s?
I was going to say, how much do we not want to narrow this down? How that could have affected them psychologically in a way that made them repeat what happened to them. I mean, it's a basic trauma response, but on this
cycle of abuse.
Cycle of abuse. Yep. Yeah. Just on a very large scale. Yeah. It saddens me. And come on, people, we got to educate to eradicate that kind of thinking.
So true. Mm-hmm. Well, let's stop it right there for a commercial break and to check this computer is still recording.
It would be great if it was.
I really hope we've been having great stuff here, and hopefully it didn't just stop. But the screen is black, and so I'll be right back after this.
Stand up. Stand out. At Windy City Print Shop, you'll find original designs celebrating community, solidarity, mutual aid, and the belief that ordinary people can create extraordinary change. Resist with your whole chest. Windy City Print Shop. Visit windycityprintshop.etsy.com.
All right.
Bong, 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 bong.
How's it look like when I got my arm like this? Is that okay?
It looks great.
Okay, great. And we're back. Scott Bennett, your host here with Melanie Ann Bennett, my beautiful bride. Now, you had said before the break that we were going to talk about media. Now, I had a recent experience lately where I suddenly felt like I was a member of the media, and I never had before. I was invited by Tiffany Cianci, a big-time creator, to head down to Kentucky to help out with the Thomas Massie campaign. And as a leftist, I was a little iffy about that. I wasn't sure how that would be perceived.
What are we thinking?
But there were things about Thomas Massie that I admire, especially his involvement in getting the Epstein files released, his anti-war stance, his willingness to be one of the only Republicans to vote against funding for Israel and the genocide. So those are three reasons just off the top. There were more. His opposition to the kill switch, his opposition to total lack of liability for Roundup victims. So anyway, there were more than one thing. But he is a libertarian, so it's not like
there are some views that he has that I just can't agree with.
He does vote with Republicans 90% of the time. So that, that's not nothing. But anyway, I was down there and I was in the ballroom when he's giving his concession speech after losing the election, after AIPAC and these billionaires poured millions and millions of dollars into stopping him from being reelected in his primary. And like the mass media is all along the back of the ballroom, right? These bright lights, Fox News, all the networks, they're all there covering this. And then me and these other influencers are just kind of milling around the ballroom talking to people. And it made me realize, oh my God, I'm a journalist. I never really thought of myself as that way. So many of my posts tend to be more educational. I feel like I'm educating people about things that are happening in our society and how words are misused. And I'm trying to educate others.
Sure.
But then here I am with this front row seat for what's happening and in this historical moment in the Thomas Massie election and everything. And I realized, I think content creators are the new journalists, right?
I would definitely agree with that. I mean, first of all, I'd like to say I like the mix of history paired with education that you bring to the table. And I think Bob Marley said it best when he said, if you don't know where you've come from, you don't know, or you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been.
Yeah.
And historians, to get a more truthful look at what periods of time looked like, will go to primary sources like diaries, essays, firsthand accounts, rather than newspaper headlines. Sure, they have their place there, and they help complete.
But they aren't the full picture.
They help to complete the picture, but they're not the full picture. And I think that by having, individual not mass media journalists out there, and listening to people like that, you're getting a more well-rounded picture, which makes me think about, journalism that was coming out of Gaza, Bisan,
Right.
And other individual journalists recording those atrocities in real time.
Right. And publishing them. Like, this is what
This
the
is like
mass
the
media
first
functions
real-time.
as a funnel, right? And so they funnel things out and give you a concentrated stream, but social media tends to give you all of the funnel. Right? It's not being cultivated for you. It's not being, things aren't being selected out for you as much. But with the algorithm.
Yes and no.
Right,
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Your algorithm is completely different than my algorithm was
Quite so.
while I was on TikTok.
Or any of our kids, if we ever see their algorithm, like the number of videos that we're both seeing is almost none.
Yeah, very,
Completely
very
different
small.
content.
I think the counterpoint happens when we share our experiences and talk about
Right.
our different experiences.
I think reposting is valuable in that way, and sharing, sending videos to people so they can see them.
Yes, absolutely. Breaking through the barrier of
Right.
the algorithm
Right.
through sharing and
Right.
through talking in person when you can, or at least discussing things like, oh, well, I saw this version of what happened and you saw this version of what happened. Maybe neither of us is right.
Right.
But yeah, the power of the algorithm is kind of scary and really does silo a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we were going somewhere with this. Were we going somewhere with this?
Well, I think the decentralization of information, right? It's not, and this was illustrated so clearly in the Massey election, how the above 50 set was voting so heavily for Massey's opponent, Ed Galreen. And they were the ones who were getting all of their information from the mass media, right? So, and also all the advertising on mass media, all the negative advertisements, the AI slop that made it look like Massey was having a three-way with AOC and Ilhan Omar. It was just, but the old folks, AI isn't even on their radar. They don't even
understand.
They don't even understand deep fakes and how, and the picture, the images they used, it didn't even look like AOC or Ilhan Omar, but they still...
And they all had 6 fingers now.
They still believe it. Well, I mean, they as well. Like, the older folks aren't picking up on that. But the under 50 crowd was, the younger you got, the more likely you were to support Massey. And the younger you are, the more likely you are to get your information from social media, from a decentralized place. That's not all being, picked out and pre-selected for you about what you're supposed to see and what you're supposed to care about.
Pedicured,
right.
And, powdered, and there it is.
Yeah, presented for you.
Yeah, I definitely think that the American people are hungry for the truth, especially in this kind of post-truth era. That was just something that really struck me the first time that Trump was in office. The role of truth and decency, just he busted through that like a wrecking ball. I
would say that that wasn't necessarily all Trump. That George W. Bush did a lot of pioneering in that area. I remember there was an unnamed source that was quoted in the New York Times in the Trump administration, who was probably Karl Rove, who said that we create our own reality. That by doing things and moving on to the next thing and keeping that constant stream of chaos.
Well, you're trying to figure out what's going on. They're just busy making more noise that drowns out.
Absolutely.
And it just confuses people further.
But I would say, that leaves out the idea that actions ever have consequences, which I think as much as you try to create your own reality, there's no way to completely keep consequences from showing up. You can't outrun consequences of your actions forever.
True.
And I think we're in a historical moment where those consequences are all starting to pile up, and it's gonna reach a point where there's gonna be a reckoning.
Ooh.
There's gonna be some kind of reckoning, some kind of blowback reaction to all this.
I definitely think so. And, I think it's going to happen at an individual level first. Just, I really want to make the avalanche analogy, where an avalanche starts when one pebble slides, then another pebble slides, then there's a whole bunch of pebbles sliding. And as people's personal lives are affected by the economic mess that we're in now, and those pressures really mount in individual people's lives, people who maybe thought, oh, well, that's going to happen to others that I don't like. As everybody feels the economic effects of what's going on, experience has a way of waking people up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just as the American public wakes up to the grift that's happening and the extractive nature of capitalism, suddenly we'll have an avalanche on our hands. And
yeah. What do you see?
That's when we'll fill the billionaires' bunkers with bees and sewage and lava.
That's
what a wonderful
great
fantasy.
Well, what is your vision for the future? What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, I love thinking about a better future, and I really wish that more people would.
Yeah.
It may sound silly, but one of the things I think about as I look out the window at our little backyard garden is I think about all the land, even within the city of Chicago, that could be productive and be part of feeding the neighborhoods. Sure, not everybody has an interest in gardening, but there's plenty of people who, if you're hungry enough, you'll understand the value of a garden.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about all of the causeways that are just empty grass weeds sitting there that could be turned into...
Right. Green lawns, I learned this from the internet, were originally something that the wealthy class loved to, these manor houses in England, right? You'd have a beautiful exactly green lawn to show off how much land you had. You have so much land that you can just plant meaningless green grass somewhere. And then somehow that became the model for our for everybody's home in America.
It's a
we're all
symbol.
Pretending to be wealthy landed estate landholders.
Yeah, having
useless land,
having arable land that you can let lay fallow is a status symbol.
Right.
That's one of my little things that I think, it's there. It's common property. It should be shared. I make a display of, in the front of the house, planting edible foods, and making it beautiful at the same time. But yeah, beyond that...
real quick, I remember we were just talking about this recently, how much food that they made with Liberty Gardens during Victory Gardens during World War II, right? Mm-hmm. It was it was like
billions of pounds of food,
right?
And I think to kind of come back full circle, I really believe that connecting with the earth and understanding that it's not just an extractive process. Mm-hmm. We have to live in harmony with the earth. And part of that can be cultivating the land that we have and returning to maybe a more agrarian, peaceful time.
Well, I also think about it like what if we did have a general strike? How good would it be to have
all
Victory
that
Gardens,
food surplus?
Right. Mm-hmm. Like that's how we weather a general strike, is by growing food for ourselves and our neighbors so that everybody can be fed and withstand a general strike.
And how do you get that food? You go to your local library or look up seed libraries, look up local gardening exchanges.
Look up polyculture and the three sisters. Is that what it is?
Oh, from Native American culture?
Yeah, from
corn, beans, and squash.
Yeah. What do they call that?
Yeah, they call it the three sisters.
The three sisters. And the corn, beans, and squash, they all grow in the same little thing together. They all help each other grow.
They help each other grow. The Squash spreads out and provides weed control by having big leaves that kill, make it so that weeds can't sprout. The beans support the corn at first, and then the corn supports the beans as it grows.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
They used to plant a little fish down there to provide nutrients.
Oh, Squanto. Squanto taught that to the pilgrims, the fish. That's Squanto.
I don't know if it's Squanto. I would, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating. Mm-hmm. Well, I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Let's take one more break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Windy City Print Shop.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We'll be right back. What is Substack? It's like the greatest newspaper that ever existed. Completely decentralized. So many talented writers and artists in one place. The roster is stacked. Substack is similar to other social media platforms, just packed with incredible talent. Some of my favorites: Michael Ian Black, Nana Bacon Aguirrewa. Adam Coleman always gets my attention. Fantastic journalists like Radley Balco, Hamilton Nolan, even living legends like Seymour Hersh and Chris Hedges. Cultural commentators like Jamila Jamil, Holly Solemn, Caitlin Johnstone, and Nathan Rabin. Visionaries like David Shing and the Peaceful Revolutionary. Substack has about every possible genre you can imagine. There's a feed like Twitter. I like Substack's feed way better than X. You can find vertical videos like you see on Instagram Reels or TikTok. You can scroll through this feed and click the links to find excellent articles, one after the other. News stories, analysis, criticism, fiction, poetry, visual art, it's all there. If you're a reader, you should be on Substack. If you like being informed about what's happening in the world without an editorial staff getting in the way, you should be on Substack. Decentralization is democratic. Decentralization is the future. Decentralization means everybody's posting. Everyone who gets a Substack account has the option to start publishing. It's kind of like having your own blog, but that blog can grow into its own masthead with paid writers on staff. Centralization is what we see in mass media. Just 6 massive media companies own about 90% of the marketplace. Everything that's broadcast from these channels is filtered through the perspective of their billionaire owners. What does Rupert Murdoch want? What does Jeff Bezos think of this editorial? Media companies are top-down authoritarian organizations. As such, they will always reflect the biases of their owners. We can see top-down changes happening at CBS right now. Barry Weiss and Larry Ellison have delivered a fatal 1-2 knockout to CBS News' journalistic integrity and hard-won reputation. Substack doesn't have editorial control or centralization. Substack's writers have journalistic freedom. It's like every person on Substack has their own printing press. That's decentralization. My content gets attention on Substack. Subscribing to letsmakethempay.substack.com is the only way to avoid suppression of my content. That's because every post I make is sent out as an email. This makes it easy to make sure you never miss a post and allows you to go back and watch or read it again. Every writer on Substack has ownership of their email list and can take it with them. Substack also makes it super easy to monetize your content. That money is not dependent on some creator fund or algorithm. A subscriber pays, Substack takes a small finder's fee size cut, you get your money. Easy peasy. Fair too. Decentralization. So check out Substack today, a really worthwhile platform. Maybe consider publishing a little content of your own. Flex some creative muscle. Download the app or go to letsmakethempay.substack.com to get started. Let's make them pay.
You gotta get a little more volume with the hair.
Floof it up.
Gotta floof it up.
Gotta floof it.
Okay, let's go.
Glorious. All right. And we're back. Let's Make Them Pay podcast. Scott Bennett, your host, here talking to Melanie Bennett, my beautiful bride. Now tell us, you are a business owner.
Yes.
And you're having some success as an online retailer with a t-shirt shop.
I remember during COVID times, there was sort of an online, get rich quick scheme talking about making t-shirts and whatnot and selling them on Etsy. And it basically saying that there's space for people to do that. If you like art and you make your own art, you can then put your art on sale for other people.
And I would say that Melanie is a dab hand, and she has the ability to get really good at everything she puts her mind to. And she is a
ADHD.
She's a little bit. She's a little neurospicy, but that kind of superior concentration has made you a really great
Focus.
artist.
Focus.
You're a really great artist.
Hyper-focus.
Hyper-focus.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so during those COVID times, things were feeling quite uncertain economically for me. Again, going back to how people who care for children and the elderly are historically underpaid. Since then, I've, felt a little bit stronger about my self-worth and have changed prices accordingly. But during COVID times, I was like, it's not going to hurt to have an extra source of income. And
I think we all feel that way.
Also being at home and sort of sequestered in this very individual space, I really felt a strong need to express myself creatively. And I was like, why don't I have fun doing it? I mean, the barrier to entry in that arena is very low. And I was like, well, the worst that can happen is that I put up listings and none of them ever sell. But they sold. And at this point, I would say like somewhere in like the top 5 or 10% of Etsy sellers.
That's incredible.
And I'm
What kind of t-shirts do you sell?
I have kind of an ongoing activism section.
Yeah.
It's one of my larger sections. I sell apparel, I sell gifts, it's kind of like a wide range of items, whatever appeals to me in the moment, and that I'm like, I could use that in my house.
But you have some different sections. You have your activist section.
Mm-hmm. I have a Stephen King section. Stephen King's always been I would say, my favorite author. It really feels like home. I'm originally from that area.
New England.
And I love to be scared. So... it's great living in these times since I love to be scared so much.
You love to be scared so much but what is our wedding anniversary?
Halloween.
We got married on Halloween.
We did.
That's the day.
But yeah, so I have a Stephen King section. I have an Ari Aster A24-ish section. I have a Sandman section.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I'm a little... have mixed feelings about, but I created before I knew what I know now about Neil Gaiman.
Fair enough, but I will say that I still love Neil Gaiman. I still love Neil Gaiman's work despite everything that's happened.
Love the art.
I can't
question the artist, I guess. In that case.
I mean, I think that's the tough thing about cancel culture is that sometimes great art is getting gobbled up by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's true. And then I have just some kind of more miscellaneous things.
Wait. You have one big one that makes up a lot of your sales that you haven't even mentioned yet.
Oh, I think you should leave.
Who's our favorite performer? Tim Robinson.
One of our favorite performers.
Well, one of our favorite performers.
Tim
Robinson. I think you should leave.
It's so silly. Oh my gosh.
What are some of his other shows? Detroiters, of course.
The Chair Company.
Oh my
goodness. It was so good that as soon as we finished the last episode, I was like, we have to watch that again.
I find that all of Tim's work gets funnier the more you watch it.
Yes, definitely.
Because there's so much cringe up front when you watch it the first time and you're like bracing and embarrassed. But then once you know how it all happens, it makes it easier on multiple viewings to pick up all the other jokes and craziness in his shows.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. We joke about how people are at their limit all the time.
At their limit. Yes. What's your number one seller?
My number one seller is a Bart Harley Jarvis design.
He's the best baby.
Yep. I've got a
baby of the year.
A screaming eagle.
Harley Davidson.
That says baby of the year. Yeah. Harley Davidson style. That's one of my top sellers.
Yep.
Other top sellers are more Stephen King related.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you and what you've done with that shop.
The feeling is mutual.
Oh.
I'm very proud of what you've done here at Let's Make Them Pay.
Well, thank you.
I just think it's a wonderful thing that you have such a large audience because I think that what you talk about and your messages are very timely and very important, and we need to spread the word. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much for saying that.
You're welcome.
Publicly. Well, yeah. Any closing thoughts as we wrap things up here?
Closing thoughts. I think it's very important for everybody to think about what role they play in larger society, how they would like things to change.
Yeah.
Practical plans for doing things on a daily basis that just push back. You know, if you don't agree with what's going on right now, think about small daily actions that you can take, whether it's calling, and, you know, I know that you've been talking a lot about the futility of the electoral system, and I definitely agree with you. But, you know, here we are, we're in this moment, and I think, you know, whether it's calling your representatives and writing them, expressing your views, using ResistBot or any of those other ways to easily contact your representatives about what you care about, connecting with people in real life, not just on the internet, talking to people in real life about what's going on, being open to listening to other viewpoints. Even if you don't agree with people, you might be surprised at how much your interests at heart overlap.
Right.
And I think that is definitely, you know, kind of a way to get in and start to talk to people. I mean, everybody's going to be complaining about gas prices, that's for sure. Yeah. So, you know, we can be like, hey, what do you think about paying $9-10 per gallon? How are you feeling about that? What do you think is the solution to that?
Yeah, well, I think it's incredible how little economic issues trickle into either of the two major parties' platforms. Like actual
the Trump's really quick focus on affordability, and then like turning affordability into a bad word. Like,
right.
Come on, buddy.
So out of touch.
The Kim Kardashian interview where she's like, yeah, I would really like to learn about, like, you know, everyday things like the price of a carton of milk. Who says carton of milk, first of all? I mean, that just shows you right there how out of touch she is. And, yeah, I want to talk longer. Can we talk a little bit longer?
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the inverse relationship between the accumulation of power and wealth, and how the more power and wealth you accumulate, the less, the decrease you have an ability to empathize with other people. And it's been shown in scientific, and I mean, I'm lazy, I'm not going to cite my sources, but I'm sure you can, you know, just do a quick Google search and find scientific papers that prove that the more power and wealth you accumulate, the less you can relate to other people around you. And we're at a point in economic equality that's greater than what was present during the French Revolution.
Greater inequality.
Did I say equality? I'm sorry,
yeah.
Inequality. And we're at a point where there's greater inequality than during economic inequality than there was during the Great Depression.
Right, or the Gilded Age.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
I really think we're seeing an echo.
We're at an all-time high, basically.
Yeah,
and it's unsustainable. And so, you know, what you're talking about with how disconnected wealth makes you from everybody else, we have a society that puts those people in charge. Or, you know, that capitalism makes
rewards
it. Right. Capitalism makes it so that the people with the most resources and capital have the most power.
And the people with the most resources and capital are necessarily the people that don't care about the consequences of their actions.
Right. They're the most disconnected from the rest of society.
Yeah.
So I mean, how ironic is that?
Look at Peter. Sorry, I just spit. Look at what just happened with Peter Thiel. He's
fleeing the country.
Fleeing to Argentina,
right.
The home of... Can I say that on here? You know, home to Nazis that were trying to weather the storm after World War II.
Right. Well, yes, yes.
I don't know if you're going to
Many did flee to South America, to Brazil and Argentina.
But yeah, Peter Thiel going there, I think, is really interesting because as a gay man raising a child with another man, he's contributed millions, if not billions of dollars to right-wing, platforms and right-wing influencers and right-wing politicians, and created part of our, had a huge hand in creating the surveillance state where we are now.
Right.
And now he's fleeing to Argentina. And I think it's really interesting because it points out that he when he gives money to these groups, he does not think about, or it does not care about the consequences for the normal person. And he knows that because he's a billionaire, he is above the consequences of his actions.
Yeah.
And he knows that the surveillance state is not great for freedom or the people of America.
Right.
And so he just is like, well, I've got $1 billion. I'm going to opt out. And now he's in Argentina and his kids are probably going to a great school. But I think it really highlights the fact that we question the hypocrisy that these people have oftentimes, and it's because they don't fear the consequences of their actions because their money insulates them from the consequences of their actions.
True. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think Teal is legitimately scared right now. He's reading the room in a way that I think a lot of people aren't really reading the room. Like, people who watch mainstream media don't really have a good idea of what's happening out there. I think people who are on social media are a little more plugged into
more clued in.
The temperature about what's going on, and young people are not having it. And one thing that I love about this young generation that we've seen with our kids, especially, I think the pandemic had a huge role in this, is authority. It has been they're completely disillusioned about authority. They don't trust or respect authority in any way. And that is not a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing.
Right? Because that's how hierarchy happens, right? Is authority. You listen to me, top down. You do what I say. And this entire generation of kids coming up, they don't buy into that. They're like, they've seen that authority was negotiable during the pandemic, that they could get away with things with the teacher blabbing on the camera on the screen and just be like, whatever. and that attitude is going to carry through into their work lives.
Yes.
And it's going to carry through into our society, into our culture, and it's going to permeate our culture where people just don't accept top-down authority anymore. Yeah. And that is going to herald a move towards equality.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you can see that. I mean, I'm not an expert. I haven't done my 10,000 hours in economics or anything, but to me, the distrust in authority and resistance against top-down, like, do as I say, that is going on in this younger generation is going to lead us toward an economic system that is more equitable, and I think it's going to drive people towards starting their own businesses, and when they do and they expand and they hire people, bringing them on as partners and including their voice in the conversation.
Yeah, I think that really is the key to changing work culture in this country. Is we no longer, like, if you're like you, an owner-operator, that's great. And you can run your business all by yourself, great. But I think the minute that you have to hire somebody because you're expanding and you can't handle it all by yourself, we need to stop thinking about it as hiring an employee, somebody that you can just pay $15 an hour and say, you're doing what I tell you now, right? That the relationship should be changed so that you're bringing on a partner and somebody who's going to share with you in the growth of that company just as much as you and get to make decisions just like you.
Okay, so one of the nice things about being in business for myself is being able to select the people that I want to work with. In my case, it's my clients. Oops, sorry. In my case, it's my clients. And, I don't feel like working with people who treat me as, a mere babysitter. I like working with people who value what I do with the children.
Right.
And there's pride. If you want to create a business that's going to work, you're going to choose people to work with you. Hopefully you do. If you're a wise business person, you do. You're going to choose people that will work well with you, whether that's your customers or people who are employed by you. Hopefully co-employees. And when
partners.
Partners. And when you have people that work well together, that fosters a workplace that keeps people happy and doesn't overwork people and doesn't demand that people pee in bottles as they're driving down the road.
Right. Or wearing diapers on the assembly line.
Or working next to somebody who just died.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Keep going, everybody. We know you loved Ralph, but
he's gone now.
He's gone, so
he's gone now. Pay no attention to him. Don't worry.
Focused on
we'll
your
have
work
him wheeled
tasks.
out in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Right.
Well,
Well,
yeah. How awful.
Yeah, that is truly awful.
Yeah.
Just happened for real in the real world at an Amazon center.
facility.
Yeah.
Yep.
Terrible. Well, that is an inspiring vision of the future, and I'm really glad that you shared that with us. Thank you.
I hope your viewers will tell us about their visions for the future and what they think would make the world a better place.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I would really, I think now is the time to start thinking about that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as we've been talking about, things are kind of teetering at the brink. Like the avalanche is coming.
We're at the cusp of something.
After an avalanche, the ground is kind of raised clear. And what do you want to grow in that environment? Do you want more of the same, or do you want change? And if you want change, what kind of change do you want to see?
Right.
And if you haven't thought about it and you haven't organized to help that become a reality,
right,
you're probably going to get mowed over by whatever else is coming.
Well, you need to have a destination in mind,
for sure.
right? You need a guiding star for where you want to go in order. Otherwise, how are you going to get there? You're just going to be wandering for years in the desert like the Israelites, And
then you're going to end up with a really big chip on your shoulder.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much, Melanie, for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been very fun.
I like to say, that's my dog.
That's my twin.
That's my girl.
That's my cuz.
That's my friend.
That's my homie.
That's my round.
That's my partner, damn.
They say we about to lose.
I say that we gonna win.
Hey!
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 Hey! All right, there you have it, folks.
Close with that silliness.
I think that is the perfect way to close this episode. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and we'll catch you next time on the Let's Make Them Pay podcast.